Viking select Christian Ponder, quarterback, Florida State.
Coming to you now in mid-quality audio, brought to you in part by FNS Delivers. From your Vikings game day headquarters, Great Mandarin at the Eden Prairie Center. It's football talk like you've never heard before. Get ready for America's favorite Minnesota Vikings podcast. With your hosts, Sticky.
I really hated what he did. I hope he starts on fire.
And Bun.
You have gotten naked and are standing right in front of me and are doing thrusts.
It's the Sticky Buns Fun Time Happy Football Program. Ladies and gentlemen, Sticky and Bun.
Well, welcome to Monday edition.
Woo! What day have we missed so far? What day have we not done it on?
I don't know, I'd say either Friday or Saturday. I feel like we did one of those days, but not the other.
I know we've done a Sunday.
Yep.
'Cause we did What Happened Today.
That was the one at Great Mandarin.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, quick reaction to the Lions game. Boy, that wasn't fun.
I was pretty bored. I'm not gonna lie. It was boring.
It was sad to already hear the boos. I don't think they were directed as Teddy, as we kind of talked about during the game. Well,
They were.
I think they were directed towards the offense in general.
Yeah. Teddy is part of the offense, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Did someone... by the way, we are eating chips and queso because the Bun likes to get on the train to Nothing Is Ever Going to Be Good Again-ville.
The Everything is Terrible Forever season.
Yes, and so I determined that I would bring chips and queso from his favorite restaurante to try and butter him up, and he's already smiling. He's already got a cheery attitude over this game, and now we're both eating still during that. So I apologize. What was the question?
Was there a question? I'm not sure. It doesn't matter at this point. No, let's talk about Lions game. Lions defense, I told you last week that they were better than expected. You kind of, even during the game, kind of laughed at, the Lions defense isn't that good.
They're not.
They crushed our offense.
No.
How many drives did we have where we got one or fewer first downs?
One or fewer?
Yep.
Can't I just say how many times we got more than one first down?
3 times?
I don't know. I was going to say 2. I mean, 2 or 3. Not the first one.
Well, I was about to say, the times where we actually got drives going, those were the times we ended with turnovers.
INT. Teddy certainly studied under the Christian Ponder school of
He
passing.
had, in the second half, it was a very Ponder-looking second half, which was very sad and scary and all sorts of horribleness. But
what exactly is a Ponder-looking half?
Where he starts staring down guys, where he's just not quite accurate, like he's throwing it near them but not where you would like to see the ball, and where he's just second-guessing himself, it seems like, not willing to pull the trigger. See, that was the sad thing about the first interception, because I saw exactly what he saw, and it was going to be gorgeous.
Oh, what did he see?
What he saw was one guy who had outside coverage and one guy who was deeper than him. And I forget who the ball was supposed to go through, but he was in the end zone and he was going to make a sharp cut. And you could see Teddy anticipating the cut, and it was going to be one of those beautiful things where he threw it before the cut was made. He was going to anticipate it. He was going to know where the guy was. It was going to be beautiful, except for the safety on the other side came and undercut it. But it was a beautiful attempt to anticipate the wide receiver open, and he just lost track of that safety. It was the type of throw we never saw from Ponder, but in this case, it was...
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
At what point did you realize that was beautiful and that you saw what he saw?
As it was happening.
I call you out. Bullshit, you are a liar.
Why?
Because I was sitting next to you. Well, there was an old man in between us. We'll just call him my dad for now. And So I was sitting near you, and when that play happened, the only words out of your mouth, not being beautiful, not being, oh, we just effing missed it, or you should have seen the safety. The only words out of your mouth was, I feel like we should have done something different.
I did feel after... No, my thought also occurred to me that was a dangerous pass to be making, even though I saw what he was trying to do, and that if we would have called the route so it went to the outside, it would have been a much safer throw for Teddy, and I was kind of surprised that Norv didn't do that, this being, one of Teddy's first games, obviously only his second full game. I thought he would call a slightly safer play there, and instead he directed that wide receiver. I'm not even sure if it was a wide receiver. It might have been a tight end. I forget entirely who that was directed at.
I thought it was Patterson.
It might have been.
Because Greg would have cut his route off and gone to the outside. Greg's smart. And Teddy would have thrown it to no one. Listen, in Teddy we trust, okay? We don't care what Norv calls. Teddy audibles. He does things in the first game we didn't let Christian Ponder do in year 4.
No. I'm still very much... I'm bullish on Teddy. I'm very
That's not
excited.
what you said yesterday.
No, I did say that. You kept trying to provoke me, though, yesterday.
No.
During the entire game, you tried to provoke me into saying something stupid. This is true. You kept saying, well, maybe we can trade Teddy. What do you think we can trade Teddy for? And just ridiculous things like that. It's like, no, that's not what I believe. I have more faith in Teddy right now than I ever had in Christian Ponder.
I'm reading from our Facebook Messenger conversation from last night, and I quote, time to cut him.
Did you say that?
I'm reading from our Messenger conversation, and it says, and I quote, at 5:10 p.m., time to cut him. After I sent a copy of Darren Page's tweet, which was, I don't even know who Darren Page is, but he sounds like a lovely guy. I can't get it on my phone. But clearly, it was so terrible that you responded with time to cut him. And you were talking about Teddy Bridgewater.
I responded with that?
I'm just saying, that's what I'm reading off the messenger.
Okay, that's great.
So you did say cut him. And someone, we won't name names, I don't want to get this person in trouble, did ask if we could package Teddy Bridgewater and Adrian Peterson in a trade.
I'll name names. That was you.
No way. Why would I do that?
Because you were trying to provoke me, oddly.
Actually, I think there was another motivation behind it.
Was there?
During the game, did anyone outside of the Teddy chant, was anyone else chanted for during the game? Think closely. By one or multiple people.
You may have tried to start a Ponder chant.
May have tried.
Yes, may have tried.
Au contraire, mon frere. I succeeded. The Ponder chant happened. With just me, but it happened.
Yes.
That's why I'm interested in trading Teddy. Because if we can get some more weapons for CP7, think of how great this offense could be. We really need a video camera for that face.
That was the brain went to static mode. Like, it's trying to respond, and it just... No.
No.
I'll say this. The Lions are having a better kicker away from being 6-0. I think they might have been better.
What was the other game they lost?
It was another game where their kicker missed a couple key kicks.
Did he just not make a kick all season and then they cut him?
No, I think he made one or two, but it wasn't good. Although, like I was talking during the game, there's 3 kickers now that have had trouble. Maybe they should look at their holder or something.
I think they should.
But regardless,
are you available?
No. Eventually someone would get through and just kill me.
Well, is it worth it? How much are you getting paid for that one kill? Well, like, really dead?
One kill. It doesn't matter how much I'm getting paid. I'm dead.
That's what I need to clarify. Are you actually dead? Or are you possum? Are you playing dead? Are you playing dead on TV?
I'd probably be in a lot of pain. Might be in the hospital for a while.
But not dead.
It's not sure. Outcome fuzzy.
Fuzzy?
Isn't that the magic 8-ball thing? You shake it and it has a bunch of different things and it says outcome fuzzy?
Sure. Maybe. Yes, I was unaware that we were bringing out the magic 8-ball. We might as well for our predictions going forward.
Oh, boy.
Let's just be honest.
You know what was really sad?
That we could have won yesterday?
Yeah. Maybe, but I don't think that was going to happen. Their defense was just crushing our offense. I will say, though, happy note, McKinnon has clearly taken over the starting job, and that makes me so very, very happy.
I don't think you can say clearly. But let's go back to my previous point before we digress into your McKinnon love. Or shall we say Asiata NFL starting running back hatred.
Okay.
I was very specific with that one because you made it a point to say I don't hate Asiata as a person. I just hate him as a starting running back in the NFL on the Vikings.
Oh, I forgot. There was a Facebook comment about that.
There was?
Is that what you're getting to?
No.
Okay, we'll go to that later.
So you don't think we could have won, huh? Let me share some statistical brain matter at you. After allowing the opening drive for a touchdown, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings defense forced 5 punts in 6 drives and didn't allow a drive of 26-plus yards until the fourth quarter.
Okay, if your point is our defense played well enough to win, I'm in complete agreement with that.
Yes. We also held them to 1 of 13 on third downs, 8%.
Yep.
Not only that, but we allowed 10 receptions on 20 targets for 6.4 yards per catch. The Detroit Lions wide receiver tandem, including their running backs catching passes, lead the league in yak, and they got nowhere. They were on your train to Nowheresville, to everything sucks land.
The Lions' offense does not impress me at all. It should be said that...
Are you going to say it?
Yes, I'm going to say it.
Oh,
they are probably one of the few
balls.
teams where they can talk about injuries on the same level that we can. Or losing players, I should say.
For sure.
I mean, missing Kelvin Johnson is around the same big of a deal as losing Adrian Peterson.
For sure, because you have built an offense around him.
Yep.
I love Golden Tate as a number 2.
Yep.
The number 1, good luck.
And also missing Reggie Bush, who I said before that game scared me quite a bit, and I think he would have had a big game had he played. Honestly, I think the way we're playing defense right now, he was the bigger loss for that game. Like, obviously, Kelvin Johnson is the bigger player and is the better player, but I think the way we play defense right now, losing Reggie Bush was the bigger loss for them. Well,
If you look at the last couple games, you have a very valid point because Julio Jones, I would classify probably as the best wide receiver in the NFL. He doesn't have certainly the track record that Calvin has or that Fitzgerald has, but he is Cordero Patterson with a brain and route running and things that Patterson just doesn't have because he's got speed, he's got height, he's got weight. He can do anything he wants. But he's young, so he hasn't gotten that resume quite yet. So we've held them to nothing. Roddy White, older statesman, he had, 1 or 2 catches? Jordy Nelson had 1 catch against us. So I think but then you could look at the other side. Devin Hester scorched us
out of the backfield.
Out of the backfield.
Yeah.
But it was even Antoine Smith, same game, just destroyed us. We had 4th and 20, and they got 15 yards on a screen. It's those kinds of with Theo Riddick, who is the smaller, quicker, shifty people. That's where Reggie Bush is.
Yep.
He's not going to beat you up, but he's going to juke the shit out of you. My apologies to all the children listening. I know all of you are. we have lots of children. So you have a valid point that he was probably the most fearsome out of that group. I am more interested to see a legitimate, because I feel like the ones who have beaten us to this point are a little more unknown. I would have liked to see a known fast, shifty guy and how we
Would have schemed against them?
Yes, because we do have much more athleticism than I remember having in quite some time.
No. I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting once we finally have that. But no, Lions, well, I'm going to say this too. I don't trust the Lions at all. This is kind of what they do. They start off really hot, play really well, and then they just put their hands around their own throats and strangle themselves. And we've caught them while they're still in this very hot state. And so I'm going to say I'm not as down about this loss as I think you were afraid I was when you tried to bribe me not to be.
Well, it's been a while since we won.
It has been. It's sad.
And you had crazy expectations for the season. I drink the purple Kool-Aid, okay? I am basically purple. You, on the other hand, you were ridiculous. And so
wait, I'm the ridiculous one after you give the description of yourself?
Yeah, because I'm constantly ridiculous. I didn't want you to commit suicide.
Okay.
You are much closer to suicidal than I am. You went out on a ledge. I live on that ledge. I have a home. I have a nice cottage I built on that one leaf. If it falls, I'm just going down with it, and I'm happy. You, on the other hand, different. You are always at the bottom thinking, oh my God, that branch is going to fall at some point. I'm going to die. And then you went out and said, I live here. Ooh, I'm scared. I didn't want you to die.
Okay.
I care about you naked, and you should not be afraid of that.
You think about me naked way too often.
Here's another stat for you. I'm just going to bypass that for now.
Okay.
In the final 56 minutes, think about this.
The final 56.
Yeah. Think how ridiculous that started off with. Do you have any comments before I continue?
So after 4 minutes.
Correct. The final 56
The
minutes.
first drive.
Yes.
After the first drive.
Yes. Are you ready for what I'm about to lay on you?
Go for it.
The Vikings defense held Matthew Stafford 15 for 29, so just a hair over 50%. That's Christian Ponder area. 116 yards, still Christian Ponder area.
Yep.
One and no touchdowns. And lost by 14.
Yeah, our defense played well. Like I said, I'm not that impressed with the Lions' offense, and I guess, honestly, it comes down to Stafford. I'm not that impressed with him as a quarterback. I'm sure now Lions fans could throw that back in my face after the last game, but honestly, if the Lions are going to make noise, like in a postseason type setting, I think it's going to have to be this year because his cap number shoots up, Kelvin Johnson's number shoots up, Sue is a free agent and will still cost $12 million against their salary cap. Fairley is out, or will be a free agent. And they could re-sign him, but they're going to have to make some tough decisions this offseason, so it'll be interesting to see that. So this is, because the cap is jumping up like crazy last year and supposedly going to again next year, they might not suffer as much as I was looking forward to watching. But they have some decisions to make, and I don't think they're going to be easy decisions.
Welcome to Lions Fan Line. We will be taking your calls all night tonight.
Getting back to the Vikings, however, are you worried about the offensive line now? Khalil now?
I feel
Zimmer seems very upset with the offensive line.
I love Mike Zimmer.
I know you do. I feel like you also picture him naked, which is kind of weird.
Maybe I do.
I care a lot less about what he says, but you can tell he's not happy. And I kind of thought we would see more changes to the starting lineup this week after the 10 days off. I was kind of anticipating that. We saw McKinnon get raised to starting position, which makes me very, very happy, although you wanted to hold off on that. I think we could see that again. I just don't know who they have to make changes on the offensive line.
That's the key. That's the problem. Local radio station host who I enjoy and I listen to frequently from 9 to noon, he said it best. I really like John Sullivan, but I think he's whenever he's interviewed, he's a straight shooter, but he doesn't say things like, I bleeped up this play, like Zimmer does. He's more of a, this team has no excuses because we are the ones who have to execute. The coaches did a good job of putting us in position to win. Okay. So I feel like he's slightly brainiac side. I mean, he did go to Notre Dame. He probably has 17 degrees and doctorates. I honestly think that, as odd as it sounds, I have met Phil Lodeholt. I like Phil. He's just kind of a behemoth.
He is.
I mean, he's okay to be here. He's okay if he was somewhere else. I'm sure he loves football.
He's not McKinnon.
He is not McKinnon. You mean McKinney? Bryant McKinney?
Yeah. Sorry.
I agreed with you because he is not Jerick McKinnon. He's quite a bit larger. In fact, maybe two of him. Actually, maybe two of him. But he's got no... He's a follower. Not from a leadership standpoint, but I think from a general attitude standpoint, I feel like the leader of the offensive line was Fusco. Because Fusco was basically a junior college center. I mean, he was above junior college, but he was from Slippery Rock. And I read a story about how he got made fun of at the Combine because he was from Slippery Rock. And they're like, you're never going to effing make it into this league. You're dumb. And look at him. Sullivan was singing his praises long before anyone else. He rated as one of the best guards. He has an insane attitude in terms of, I'm going to beat the effing S out of you, and you're going to take it like a little tiny people.
I enjoy how after some of the other conversations we've had in this podcast, you decided to, censor yourself there.
Well,
we talked about the angry pirate on this podcast.
I realize, but those are the types of people I love. Mm-hmm. And I realize that I have a problem with language. And if I'm talking about a player I love who is that salty kind of guy, my language is going to go off the rails. And so I was worried that literally no one could listen to this in the safety of anywhere outside of their own earbuds. We do know of one person who listens to it out loud in his office, and as I'm sure they're okay with swearing, I'm not sure they would have been okay with the type of swearing I was about to unleash.
Okay, we can move on. I just found it funny. But so you think... I mean, I agree. Fusco was a huge loss. We should have replaced Charlie Johnson this offseason. I still am kind of mad at Rick Spielman for not doing that. I mean, we brought in, what is his name, Dukakis or whatever?
Vladimir Dukakis.
Who was terrible for the Jets.
At tackle.
Even so.
He was terrible for the Jets at right tackle.
He's not good. If he was good, he would have challenged Charlie Johnson for the starting job, and he was not.
Well, okay.
We should have signed a good guard.
This is where I was going. So it's 50 and 50, right? So part of the problem is that while you do want an heir apparent, you want someone beyond, what's his name? Charlie Johnson. You want someone to take over that spot. The people you drafted in previous years aren't up to it. That's why you bring him back. Vlad is not better than Charlie Johnson. They might possibly be the same player. I was not a fan of Vlad. I could have done without him. But so when you don't have a clear exit strategy, now you're looking for depth. So from what I understand, they trained Vlad on guard. He did play some guard at the very end of his Jets career. But they said, you are going to be the right guard. You're only going to be training right guard. You're going to be doing nothing else. And they took a guy that is actually not too bad in Joe Berger, and they said, you're only going to be doing left guard. Which, great, but when you lose your right guard, and maybe they did it because they're like, Fusco doesn't ever get hurt. He never misses a game. Vlad's never going to go in. Charlie Johnson could go at any time. He may have a heart attack and die. So we like Joe Berger. So that's why Vlad is in there. And it's kind of too late to start teaching Berger how to do the other one, even though he kind of knows, but it's a different scheme. The other factor, the other 50 is you drafted their replacements. I know you don't think so.
And they waited till the 5th round to do it?
David Yankee was very highly coveted. And
so much so that he fell to the 5th round.
But that's where you're supposed to hit on these things. Some of the players we have weren't taken number 1.
I ain't known that, but I would have liked to see a little.
Sullivan, 6th round. Fusco, 6th round, I believe. Robinson, 4th round. Everson Griffin, 4th round. I'm trying to think of... Was Captain Munnerlyn even drafted? I think he was, but it was late.
I'm not saying you can't find good pieces back there, but when you have as big of a problem as we had with Charlie Johnson, I think waiting that long was risky, and I think we're seeing that risk not pay off this season.
Well, but the guards, there weren't a lot of good guards in the draft.
Well, I also wanted otherwise go after a better free agent.
Who?
I don't remember who all the free agents were, but there were other people available.
And we're also trying to get younger and redefine.
I think it helps our youth movement if our quarterback is being sacked 10 times a game.
He was never sacked 10 times a game.
Okay, 14 over 2.
Boom. You know, we have, what was the stat?
Actually, well, okay, go with your thought.
We have more sacks in 2 games than points. How you like them apples?
Oh, that's a sad...
And the only touchdown we have in 2 games is a Christian Ponder run-in.
Yeah.
Oh, thank heaven for number 7. He's going to save us. He's the only one scoring touchdowns. You can't argue that. He's the only one.
Over the last 2 games.
Yeah, he's it.
Anyhow.
You want to go further?
Well, you
Atlanta?
didn't mention our other tackle.
Matt Khalil.
Now.
Matthew.
Now, it's too bad because the tackle who was playing best during the preseason was hurt.
Who?
Was it? His nickname was Tiny.
Oh, Tiny Richardson. Well, yeah, he was hurt before he entered the draft.
They made him go have surgery. Otherwise, you could move Khalil inside and then play him.
Wait.
I think
My brain is melting.
we have to be prepared for that possibility.
No, we should not.
I think next year we could see this.
I want to know what blogs and what teen boy fandom sites that you're currently on that are telling you that this is a reality or possible
None.
reality.
This is my own thoughts.
Matt Khalil cannot play guard. If you're gonna put him at guard, just effing cut him. Trade him. Trade him for. You can trade him for a 5th round draft pick. Easy. You could probably get a 4th or 3rd. Trade him right now.
Why couldn't he play guard?
Yes. He does not have.
He's not the biggest guy.
He is not. He struggles.
It
to
would be
keep
more
weight.
of a. He'd have to be more of a pulling one. We could do some fun things with that.
What is Matthew? What does he pride himself on having?
Nothing this year.
Boom! You just laid the wood across his face. He prides himself on having athleticism. Okay?
So pulling.
Sure, but you don't pull the guard every single play.
No.
So what do you do for the ones he's not pulling?
Cut.
Wait, are you saying he should cut a defender or get cut?
Cut a defender.
No, bun. No. No. Here's the thing. I'll be honest. I don't even know how to respond to this because I feel so dumb that this was even raised to me. I really do. I really feel retarded that thought process was shown. Khalil does a good job. Hold on. Just hold on. He does a good job except for the...
Except for the part where he protects the quarterback.
Really like 5 plays a game. Okay, and there are... It probably amounts to 8 to 10% of the plays. But the problem is, just like a cornerback, if you suck on 1 or 2, you are the worst player on the team. Because everyone sees that play. You can't disguise it. You can't get around it. It's very, very up in front of your face.
Yep.
And I do agree that the problems that he's had this year are more so that when speed rushers are coming at him, he has not been able to deal with it. I don't know why. I don't know if he's hurt, if he can't figure it out, or if he just can't figure it out the entire time. Because Ziggy Ansah is a speed rusher. He stopped him all but 2 times. 2 times. Yes.
I was about to say, I read that he gave up 2.5 sacks, but
yeah, that half sack came between the guard and the center.
Okay.
Where he tag teamed with Fairley, was it?
No, I'm not talking about the defensive end. I'm saying I heard Khalil gave up 2.5 sacks.
Yes, because we are having troubles with stunts. Which is weird because we have more athleticism than we should. I feel like we're caught in between bulk and athleticism. Like we have we're not really one or the other. We're weirdly mixed. So what they're doing is the end is starting out going after Khalil and then stunting back in. So they're crediting Khalil with the problem, but Khalil's not the problem. That's where outside sources like Pro Football Focus, which we still like, even though Zimmer hates them, why their counts for who gets what and who gives up what is different than internally. Because now it's no longer Khalil's responsibility, it's someone else's responsibility. Well,
then we needed to replace Charlie Johnson.
Well, yeah, our biggest problem, honestly, the Lions game, our biggest problem was the guard center area. Not necessarily the center, but the gaps, the A gap. Because that pocket was crushing into Teddy.
Yeah.
Crushing. And when that happens, he can't step up, so he has to stay back, and then the ends can get around, which is what they primarily try and do. If the front of the pocket stays up, he can step up, the ends can't get to him, he's got a clean pocket. There was no clean pocket.
No.
But I will say part of it is Theodore Roosevelt's fault. Because he even said it was eye-opening for him that game.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yes, that's what I'm going to call him.
The president.
The president of the United States
Teddy.
of Vikings Nation. We are our own state. Do you not know this? I feel like you should know.
Okay.
You want to be the treasurer?
So, just continue with this thought where you've decided to start calling one of our players Theodore Roosevelt.
Well, let's be honest. Once we win our 8th Super Bowl with him, we're going to give him the presidency.
I don't think that's ours to give.
I don't care.
Okay.
Does it look like I care? Okay. Theodore Roosevelt the Fourth. Here's what he did. He played one full game, right? And it was a game where the Falcons have basically no defense. They just trotted out offensive players pretending to be defensive players. And there was no pressure. We went to that game. He had all the time he could ever want in the world. he did whatever he wanted. Now he comes into a game which is clearly different, where there is pressure, and there is a good defensive line, and he was not prepared for that. Even though he explodes backwards in his dropbacks, even though he gets the ball out quickly, he was not prepared for how quickly he was going to have to get it out. So when he said it was eye-opening, it's because he thought, well, I had this time in college, I'll have it now in the NFL, everything's rosy. It's not. It was severely less time. And it doesn't help when our wide receivers were not doing a good job at all of getting open.
That was another thing I wanted to talk to you about.
Jam them!
They did. The Lions' defensive backs were jamming our wide receivers. And I wish we did the same. But regardless of that, Patterson is not explosive right now.
No, he's not.
It's really sad to see that hip flexor has clearly, or maybe there's another injury that we don't know about, but he is not moving like the guy we know. And it's sad to watch him move like a much slower human being.
I'm not sure that he can't. I think, he made the point of saying, I'm not 100%, but I will be next week. That's a bit of turkey baloney, okay? Because everyone is hurt. It's like, I work out all the time, okay? I don't do football things, but it's different. So when I work out and I'm tearing my muscle fibers constantly, I never feel that great. My arms always hurt. My thighs, my God, my thighs are always screaming at me. And my ass. Not there, Nick. Get your head out of the gutter. My ass hurts too. But it's because I'm constantly ripping on it. Just like they're constantly playing. That was awesome. I cannot wait for some of our listeners to listen to that. But that's kind of the problem, right? You're not going to be 100%. I don't know if he knows how to play when he's not 100%. And this is where his rawness comes in. He's not good enough to start beating people from a mental standpoint. And if they're beating you from a mental standpoint, sometimes it doesn't matter your physical stature.
Well, one way or another, he's not being explosive out there. I mean, you can theorize about whatever reason it is, but it's sad to watch. The other thing is, I'm starting to wonder if you and I have overrated Greg Jennings. I have a theory about why that may have been.
Interesting. I didn't know I rated him at all. What is it? Tell me.
You think too highly of him.
Do I?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to know more about this subject.
Because you are the one who says he's always open.
He is always open.
See, right there. So as soon as you say that, you've given away the game.
Wait, did I win a prize?
No, you gave away the game.
I don't... Wait. I'm confused. Can you start over?
You're terrible and I'm wonderful. Anyhow, I think what we were seeing last year is that Greg Jennings would get open because after about a second or two, he would be too deep for Ponder to ever look at him.
True.
And so they just didn't guard him because they're like, it doesn't matter. And so we were seeing Jennings being open, and we were saying, oh, Ponder just doesn't see it, which was true. But maybe the reason he was open was less because he was, making sharp routes. He was, using his veteran savvy. And maybe it was more they knew they didn't have to guard him, so they didn't.
Okay. I understand. I understand. I disagree. I think
And now they know they might have to guard him when Teddy's playing, so they continue to guard him, and he's not getting open like we were seeing him get open when Ponder was playing.
Actually, no. I disagree. Because here's what I'm trying to say as I stutter. Like Stanley. The Rams game. Fantastic defensive line, right? Great push, great pass rush. we destroyed them, right?
That was largely a factor of our defense, but yes, we did destroy
Well,
it.
they scored one. Our defense scored one touchdown.
I think it was largely just our defense kept putting the offense on short field position. They kept giving our offense the ball enough times that we wore them down.
But there's the key. There's the key, because we had a passing game, even without Theodore Roosevelt VIII. And when you think about it, there's only one difference between that and now. Adrian Peterson. Because when Adrian only had 74 yards, even after the game was essentially over, Adrian Peterson still wasn't getting yards. We couldn't put away the game by running it down their throat. Why?
Our offensive line isn't that good.
Sure, but it's because they said, I don't care about anything else on your team. Adrian is the only proven quantity. You're not going to beat us with Adrian Peterson. I think I really think that it's not Adrian himself, but we don't have that same talent right now at another position. We have a fantastic wide receiver who has the chance to be better than Peterson, maybe, because he has a crazy skill set. We have an incredibly gifted, I'll always get open other wide receiver. We don't have a talented tight end. We don't have a talented running back. And yes, quarterbacks make it better, but it's his second game. So normally we go into games and they say, fine, figure out the passing. But now the cornerbacks are no longer looking into the backfield to see if we're going to surprise them with a draw or a run. They don't care. Their only focus is on that wide receiver. Unlike the Rams game where Janoris Jenkins, fantastic cornerback. If he'll ever put it all together, could be one of the best. But there were times when we would do that. He's obviously in coverage, and as soon as it looks like we're handing it to AP, he's sprinting into the backfield, just disregarding his wide receiver altogether. Now you don't have that. They don't have to worry about it. Now they can just follow that wide receiver the whole way. And when you have Greg Jennings is not a true number one. He's too old now. He's too old. He is a fantastic number 2 or a fantastic 1B. If Cordero isn't getting open, there's no threat. So now there's really no threat for Greg either. The only thing you could maybe rely on is quick screens through crazy people like McKinnon or Wright.
I mean, whatever it is, I think I'm going to have to stop starting him in fantasy.
Which one? Greg Jennings?
Jennings.
You want to trade for him?
We
No,
can talk
I
about
don't
this.
want him. It was a joke. You need to relax.
You tried to get Ponder. I don't know what's a joke with you.
Do you know that the person who actually picked up Ponder and played him tried to trade him to me after the
And you
game?
didn't take it?
No, because I know he's going to drop him, so I can just pick him up for free.
Did you pick him up?
Not yet. I don't know if he dropped him. He tried to trade me Christian Ponder and someone else for a starting running back, a starting quarterback, and a starting wide receiver. And I was like, really? I know Christian's not going to play. There's noises in the background. Someone's pissed. Yep. There's something else we need to talk about. 2 things, actually. What are we on time? Perfect. Beautiful. I want to know, I asked you a question. Viking Nation, we are a state. If we solidify and have a piece of land that is ours, with our own flag, will you be our chief financial officer? Will you be our treasurer?
Sure.
Okay. We might have a problem with that, because I want you to tell me a story about you have a friend of yours who lives with you in this beautiful house with Twins memorabilia everywhere. I have no idea why. And a signed picture of Jerome Simpson, the only one of its kind in existence, outside of his own house, which he signs and hands to his kids. What happened tell me about your interaction with your housemate yesterday. Anything specific happened? Anything that
He bought a new video game and we played it.
nothing else?
Nothing else.
Nothing
I can't
else?
find where I put the rent money he gave me yesterday. You find this hilarious for some
Tell me-
reason.
No, you can't just state it like that. You have to tell me tell people. They want to know. Tell them how you told me.
I told you that I looked at it at one point and said, I probably shouldn't just leave that amount of money laying around in the open. But I don't remember if I actually did anything and picked it up, and if so, what I did with it afterwards.
So,
Hey! My roommate put it away.
now, what did did you work today?
No.
What did you do all day today?
I spent a lot of time looking for that money.
In your own house.
Well, I mean, I was doing laundry, and I got paranoid because I did shorts right before I realized I didn't know where that money was. It's like, oh, crap. They're probably in my shorts. And so, but my washing machine is just crazy because it locks,
Wait.
and it won't unlock. Like, I turned the thing off so it would unlock. It still didn't unlock. I had to restart the entire thing, the wash, from the beginning so that it would finish. And then I looked through the pockets, and it still wasn't there. And it's like, oh, crap.
Why did you have to go to the beginning? Why couldn't you start it where you left off?
Because I turned it completely off.
Is your washing machine possessed?
It's not possessed. It's just very particular. Once it starts washing clothes, it's going to finish washing clothes.
I really like that your washing machine has like a mind of its own.
It's just very particular.
So do you think with your qualifications of losing money on a regular basis inside your own house, do you feel like
money on a regular basis? I just found it. My roommate just told me where it was.
Wait a second. Back the train up. You didn't find anything. Your housemate yelled from the first floor, "Here's where it is. I moved it for you." And you're claiming you found it. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it, but I trust my roommate.
So
Yeah, no, I'm very glad you did. It was a very good move. I didn't know where it was, and I mentioned that to Luke, and he finds the story hilarious.
ooh, it's still hidden. We could do a choose your own adventure. You could ask Jeff, we'll call him. You could ask Jeff questions, and he could be like hot and cold. He could tell you a story and lead you to the next clue.
I don't think we're going to do that.
It's within 3 feet of where you
Is
left
it underneath one of those stools? Trash.
You only get 2 more guesses before we keep the money ourselves. And by we, I mean me. It's all mine. I don't know how much it is, but I'm spending it all on toys.
What would you buy?
Depends on how much it is. Don't tell me. Let me just pick a random number. I'm going to guess it's $111. With $111, I would use that as...
You're making my roommate think I'm ripping him off, and I'm not. That's a crazy small amount for rent.
I have seen the room he resides in from the doorway, with the door closed. It is only worth $111. I don't know how much you charge him. And you did tell me earlier that you told him he could just pay what he feels like.
That is not what I said.
That is exactly what you said.
I said nothing similar. Jeff, he's lying.
I said, tell him it's the 13th. He's late on rent. It's due by the 1st. Do you have a due date? And you said, no, I just told him to pay whenever, whatever he feels like. And I was like,
Whenever.
I need to be living with you. Can I move in? I'll snuggle. Can that be
That's
part of my
why
rent?
you're not allowed to move in.
Can that be-
You will snuggle and get naked.
That'll be totally part of my rent, if not all of it. I'm not going to lie. So our intern, who is the housemate of the bun, just said he would still be part of this podcast if I could keep my, we'll just say he said dick in my pants.
He said cock.
What? This is not, listen, I know you want this to be NC-17, but we do have small children who
We have
want to
some
listen to
old
it.
children.
There would be one more child who would listen to this, but I keep getting complaints from him that he has to listen to it live. He can't download it. I told him to talk to you.
Okay.
I don't know how that works. I haven't listened to a single podcast. I've lived it. I feel great.
So, now that we've moved on from this topic,
Do you want to do mailbag? We did get a mailbag.
did you want to finish talking about McKinnon? Because you said you had some thoughts about that.
I'm not sure he's actually earned the starting job
He
in
has.
in a traditional sense. I think he's better than Asiata. So I guess in that sense he's earned it.
Yes.
I would maybe think about going out into the market and seeing what's out there.
I feel like if they were going to do that, they would have done that by now.
Probably. I did like what I saw from him yesterday. So
Yeah.
I think
I thought
future's
he
bright.
looked pretty good for how much our offensive line was. Their defensive line was constantly playing on our side of the line of scrimmage, it seemed like.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
he managed to get a fair number of decent runs, considering that. No, I was very happy with his performance, and I look forward to watching him continue to hold on to that starting job. So, mailbag.
Mailbag. What do you, hold on, let me bring it up. Where?
I know there was some discussion, something about a Bills game in 2002.
There's no discussion.
Oh.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on to one more night. Okay. Here's the mailbag. It is from a gentleman. We'll just call him Ryan for now. He says, I'll just read it all. What a pitiful display I watched yesterday. That was the least entertaining game I've ever seen. I think we'd agree. We said we were bored. Although I did get sunburn on half my face, which is weird when I make faces. My question is, what do you make of the fact that the Vikings lead the NFL by throwing 9 interceptions? Is it a fluke through 6 games, or should we really be worried?
I'd say a fluke because we've gone through 3 quarterbacks.
True statement.
Obviously, if Teddy has another game where he throws 3+ interceptions, that will start being more concerning. But considering that we've gone through 3 quarterbacks, I'm not going to worry too much about that particular stat.
Do you realize, let's go in order, out of the quarterbacks who were on our roster day one, who has the most interceptions?
Castle, wouldn't it be?
It would, because of your famous, is this a bad Matt Castle game?
Yes.
Where he threw 4.
Yep. I called it pretty quickly.
You did. Who has the second most?
That would be Teddy.
Okay, and Castle played how many games?
2?
Teddy's played how many games?
2.
And
2 and quarter and a half.
sure. Who has the least amount of interceptions by a quarterback on our team?
The guy who has played the fewest amount of games.
I think we should put in Christian Ponder. I think the stars are aligning to show us that out of the available quarterbacks, the best one is wearing number 7. And was trained by Donovan McNabb himself.
Let's move on.
You're really bitter about that. Next is a comment. I would say it's directed at you.
Okay.
I do like Mike Zimmer. I find myself siding with him in post-game interviews.
Okay.
Do you feel the same?
I don't listen to a lot of post-game interviews. I do generally hear later the highlights.
Who gives you those highlights?
1500 ESPN.
Are you sure it's not someone else? Someone who's constantly messaging you about the great post-game interview?
You do throw a couple of his quotes my way. I don't know. I'm far more interested in seeing action on the field in terms of changing starting players or playing time. That's more of the stuff I pay attention to and care about. But no, I do worry that if you're angry all the time, that eventually that starts just rolling off players' back. But obviously, I don't think we have to worry about that. I do wonder what this roster will look like next year if there are some players who don't respond to that, who will need to be gone.
You know, I find myself fascinated by Mike Zimmer. I not only want to see him naked, but I want him to live with me. I want to just follow him around every day. I kind of want to be a shadow. I want to listen to him talk. I certainly want to listen to him talk to people and players. That would be amazing. I might, at this juncture, I was so bored yesterday. I was looking more forward to listening to his post-game press conference than I was watching the actual game.
I was about to say, you keep using that word bored. I wouldn't say the word bored because it was interesting watching the defense still. The offense was pretty sad to watch. I wouldn't say I was bored. You've been using that phrase. I wasn't bored. I kind of realized that maybe the Lions are just still at that stage where they're still really good.
Don't stop believing.
And I did start thinking about, well, okay, maybe this team just isn't going to come back from these injury situations. Or I keep saying injury. What I really mean is losing players because AP is obviously one of the first ones you think of. So I did start thinking, well, maybe this is going to be a year where we get another high draft pick. But I wasn't bored yesterday.
I don't know if you said bored or born. I'm going to go with born. So the last thing that came up in our mailbag is they want to talk about a classic game.
Okay.
They want to talk about, and I'll read it for example. He says that he found a website called Advanced NFL Stats, and he looked up what is the greatest game ever played. And apparently it ranks the Vikings versus Bills game from 2002 as the most exciting in NFL history based on a number of algorithms.
Oh, was this the one where we missed a bunch of extra points?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, see, I was trying to think of what game that would have been because that was right when I was in college, and I can't remember. I oddly remember a fair amount of Bills games, it seems like.
That is odd.
My favorite Vikings memories is a season opener that happened in Buffalo. And what happened was the Bills blitzed from what was our right side, and we had a power sweep to our left.
Ooh,
and
beautiful.
Robert Smith just ran through this hole that was, you literally could have driven a car through it. Like, not a big car, but you could have. And, yeah, there was just no one near him as soon as he touched the ball till the time he was in the end zone. In fact, Chris Carter caught him from behind because he said he was laughing so hard.
Okay. I remember this game because I was unable to go to in attendance, but I did listen to it on the radio. And we had Doug Bryan was our kicker, and the announcer for the game, we'll call him Paul. The announcer for the game kept saying, "Doug Bryan missed again! Oh my God!"
He was not pleased.
No.
Nor should have he been. And that kicker did not survive Monday as a member of the Vikings.
I feel like, though, that is part of this algorithm because...
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Literally, this is no joke. After the game on the fan line edition, at that time there were other people doing it, but they were criticizing the kicker, obviously, because that's your job. And the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings... No. Was it the head coach? No. The offensive coordinator. What was Mike Tice's job at that point? O-coordinator?
I think it was just offensive line.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He called in.
2002. Yeah, that was still Dan Green.
That was still the sheriff. Mike Tice called in and said, "Don't worry, he's not going to be on our team next week."
That's hilarious.
The kicker didn't even know yet, and he was just so pissed that he called in. That's why I love Mike Tice, because he's dumb like that. He called in and said, "Don't worry, he won't be here next week. We'll have someone else."
I had not heard that story before, but that is hilarious. I do remember that game and losing late.
Yes.
Was it even overtime? I bet it was.
It was overtime.
It was overtime.
It was overtime, and we had Culpepper and Moss, and if we make those kicks, we win it in regulation.
Yep.
We were the Lions back then. We were the Lions. That particular game.
That particular game.
Yes.
Because, 2001 we were in the NFC Championship game. It didn't end well.
No. I hate you. One of my favorite plays ever, since you talked about yours, was... So, wait, Robert Smith did not score, correct?
No, he did.
Okay. Mine, we did not score. We should have, and that's why it's my favorite. It was in 2007, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe 2008. We had the AP and Sidney Rice. We did not have Harvin yet, I don't believe. So, because he came in 2009. We did not have Brett Favre. I don't remember who our quarterback was.
Gus Frerotte?
Maybe. Who was before him?
Brad Johnson?
I don't remember who it was.
Johnson 2.0, I should say.
I don't remember who it was, and you'll find out why. And our tight end was Visanthe Shenko. And this was the unveiling of Visanthe Shenko, the athlete who never got thrown the ball in New York. So they line up. They do a backwards pass like a screen to Sidney Rice. Okay?
Okay.
And instead of running it, he cocks his arm back and fires. It was so beautiful. There was no one. No safety help, no one. Visanthe Shenko, all by himself, running in the secondary. He catches it, and he's running, and he's so slow. He's so slow. He gets tackled at like the 1 or 2, and it's a 74-yard pass, and he couldn't, with no one around him, he could not get into the end zone.
Let's see.
And I was like, how?
And who was that against?
Who was that against? I don't even remember. I don't care.
Okay.
I couldn't forgive Visanthe Shenko for not catching a touchdown instead of just a regular catch.
Okay. I was about to say, I think the other Bills memory I have, oddly, other than the game where we missed extra points and now it's just, come on! You've got to be kidding me. I'm pretty sure that our emailer actually has audio of me yelling during a Vikings game. And for some reason, I have the belief this was against the Bills.
I'm pretty sure our emailer has audio with you doing a lot of dumb things.
This was a very popular. He enjoyed Splice. I've seen it because on that same day that the Vikings were playing, the Twins were playing. And the Twins made the playoffs, the last game.
Playoffs?
And I was pretty convinced that they were going to win the World Series, and in fact it was the fact that they did not win a game that made me turn against Gardenhire. But that same day, the Vikings lost a game, and it was Brad Johnson. In fact, I bet it was Brad Johnson you were thinking of too, because I think this was 2007 as well.
Could be.
And I just remember that we were down by 4, time was running out, and we were at about the 30-yard line. And I don't know, there must have been 10 seconds or so left. And Johnson threw a little dump off to Chester Taylor.
Oh, love Chester.
And time expired.
Oh.
And I was just like, what the fuck? You guys are 30 yards away from the end zone. Throw the fucking ball into the end zone.
Now look who's a potty mouth.
I've been the pottier mouth this entire podcast.
You know,
I was very upset about that because I thought the ball should have been thrown into the end zone. Even though Brad Johnson did not have the greatest arm at that point in his life, he could throw the ball, the 30 or 40 yards to get it into the end zone.
I would hope so.
I
can throw 30 yards.
Throwing a little dump off to Chester Taylor when the entire defense was back. Like, they weren't rushing a bunch of guys, so there was basically very little chance Chester Taylor was going to be able to score from that point in the field. and I was very irate, and so Glanzer put those two clips together and titled it A Tale of Two Nicks.
I think it's funny that most of your happy times, we'll call them, come from Buffalo Bills games because we play the Buffalo Bills next week. How do you feel about that? Will you have happy times again?
Well, that last one was not happy times. I was very upset. I was irate.
I often call your unhappy times happy times because they're happy for me in that I get to enjoy your unhappiness.
I have not watched any of the Bills games yet.
Okay.
So I do not have a scouting report yet. I'll say that I think their record is 4-2.
Kyle Orton has a sweet mustache.
Kyle Orton is playing for them. I think their defense has supposedly been playing well.
It is. They have a very good front four. I'm not sure about their linebackers, and they have some decent talent in the secondary.
This feels like a game we could win under the same circumstances as the Lions. I always knew the Lions game was going to have to be a defensive battle for us to win. And I actually oddly have faith in our defense. But we will see if our offense can get going.
Mm-hmm.
I think, honestly, flip a coin. They could win, they could not win. I have given up on the idea of this season being measured by wins and losses. It will be measured based on whether some of our players start playing better, whether Khalil can get better, if he needs to be moved to guard, if McKinnon can keep playing well, if Teddy progresses.
If he needs to be moved to tackle.
Yep. Exactly. Everything's in the air. I'm willing to do anything. No, this
You're willing to do anything, you say.
Trial and
that
error
certainly
season.
Piqued my interest. Take your pants
wins
off.
and losses.
Take your pants off.
I say this now because it's very easy at 2-4 to say wins and losses don't matter. If they start winning, I'll get all excited again, and then they'll break my heart again. But
let me ask you a question.
I'll call it a win.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
This is serious.
All right.
If I told you I, Mr. Bunn, am a soothsayer, I can see the future.
I would say, why didn't you warn me about last week?
But here's the deal.
Okay.
I can guarantee you, I can actually manipulate time. I can guarantee you that your beloved Minnesota Vikings will win the Super Bowl this year. Okay? And you will be in attendance for said event.
All right.
Okay? But in order to do that, I don't want your soul. I want you to do one podcast completely nude.
That won't cause any... I would do it if you were an actual person that could do these things.
I will effing call a psychic. You think I won't?
Psychics don't change the future.
I know the phone number to Doctor Who. I can call him. He is a time traveler. He can go and change the future. Or tell me how to make it happen.
Yeah, that's not... See, if you could make it happen, you would have done it anyhow without me needing to get naked. You would have done it before we met.
But don't come at me with facts and realistic thinking.
I apologize. That was a foolish thing to do from the beginning of this conversation.
I'm just happy to find out that you admit you would be naked for a podcast if there was something in it for you.
If the Vikings would win the Super Bowl, not something. It would have to be something significant.
It's basically the same. What do you think they need to do to win besides moving Matt Khalil to guard and Jerick McKinnon to tackle? What keys to victory do you foresee?
Turnovers.
You think they have to have turnovers? They've been doing a good job of having turnovers the last two games.
Forcing turnovers. That's actually one of the things our defense has not been good at all. For how much better our defense has been, turnovers has not been a thing.
He's the microphone like a cock.
He is. I don't know why he's doing this, but I've just learned to just kind of ignore the things. Oh, now he's...
Don't even say it. Don't even say it.
Oh, that's harsh. The computer is a hard player, though. I played it earlier, and it was tough.
3 Grand Slams.
Jeez.
Yes, I think getting turnovers would be fantastic.
I think it can be a low-scoring game, just like this last one was. We will get to see some running backs that's more of what they're known for. I mean, they have Watkins, but...
Freddie Jackson and C.J. Spiller.
Yeah.
I am optimistic we'll win. Do you know why? Would you like to know?
Because you're a crazy person.
That we do have factual evidence on that. No, it's because Mike Zimmer changes things. He came into this season and he said, I'm the fixer. My job is to fix it and make it work, whatever it is. You do what I tell you to do, I'll fix the problems. Okay? Going into Green Bay game, what was the worst section of our defense? Because at that point...
Third down defense.
Because at that point, we were riding from Atlanta Falcons, so our offense was doing well. So nothing really to fix there at that point. Third down defense was horrific, right?
That was our biggest problem on defense.
Okay, so since that point, we have held the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions to a combined 22% on third down. 22. Do you know what we were at before that?
60-something?
80.
Ouch.
80%. Did you even know that was possible?
Not really.
I feel like you just show up and you immediately get 60. But that's just me. So he came in and he said, this is ridiculous. We're going to fix that.
We need to see him do that on offense, though. I trust his ability to do that on defense.
Sure.
Offense, we have to see it.
Sure. And for Green Bay, he said our defense was not playing as a team. We were doing things individually. So I thought for the Detroit game, I thought the defense played very well as a unit, as a combined unit. They primarily stopped anything they wanted to do. So he has fixed the few things that he had problems with on defense. I'm sure he still has other problems, but now he can start to turn his attention a little bit away, as now they have evidence. It's not just do this and you'll see difference. It's do this, look at the difference. Things have changed. So I think now he's going to start coming after, because he's also going to get guys like Chad Greenway back, and that will help. But now I think he's going to go after the offense and say, we're going to fix this. Cordero, you want the effing ball? We're going to effing get you open, okay? This is how we're going to do it. An offensive line, if I have to beat you across the face with my own fist, you are going to block. And I think because the blocking, he's the defensive guy, right? So he knows how to attack it. So I think he can work with Jeff Davidson, and he can get that line blocking well again, at least in a better clip than what we've been seeing lately. So I fully believe that things are starting to be fixed along the way. I still have high expectations. Do I think they'll win 11 games? Probably not. Do I think they'll win 10? It's very doubtful at this point because they can only lose 2 the rest of the way, right? 2. I don't necessarily see that happening. But I think I really like what I see in terms of adjustments. I just wish I would see more. I wish I would see them across the board rather than unit by unit, game by game.
Well, we'll see.
We will see. So we both predict a win.
Yep.
Should we do this podcast next week on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
Perhaps so.
Or a Friday or Saturday, I guess. Do you have any words of wisdom for our fine listening folk?
Don't do podcasts with Sticky. He gets naked.
What? When's the last time I got naked? Hold on.
It's been
Let me
like
take
a
my pants
month.
off.
No, stop that.